Hey, everybody. I hope you guys are awesome and amazing. And I am so excited to lead you through this conversation, we'll call today, in connection with really owning your truth in your business and in your life. And this is like a controversial subject, like if we really think about most of the landscape that we've grown up in the environments we've grown up in the dynamics of our lives, that we've been taught to stay quiet. We've been taught to conform. We've been taught to like work 9 to 5. We've been taught to like push it out in the world. We've been taught to like stay in your box and stay in your lane, when the vibration of spirituality and the vibration of like us being unique individuals in life is part of a process of us owning our power and owning our truth. And for those of you guys new to my world, my name is Colleen Lindberg. I'm a soul mission activator. So, like, my main job in the world is to help people really illuminate in their lanes, understanding why they're here on earth, what this experience is about, and step fully into their pathways with confidence, with clarity, with that power inside of them. And part of this whole mechanism of having courage to do that work, having courage to step into that, is owning your truth. And a lot of us are actually scared of this. And I've seen this happen. I've seen it happen in my world. I've seen it happen within me. I've seen it happen within my clients. And the mechanism of the fear of owning our truth is a big thing. What will other people think? Like, what if I lose this? What if that happens? And there's a lot of what ifs and a lot of fear wrapped around this conversation. So today I want to serve you up with like 3 different ways, or let's say an escalating effect of 3 things that you can take out of this training, this conversation I'm having with you today, and start to take action in moving this forward if you're being called to that. I can pretty much guarantee that you are being called to owning your truth if you decided to download this conversation that I'm having with you. So I want to be able to gift this to you and give this to you in a way that you can take it and run with it in a palatable way to serve humanity in the way that you're showing up. Because although, yes, it's a solo job, and yes, we're in this mechanism to move stuff forward, and yes, we're out in life to understand ourselves and self-love and move that all through as well, we also are in this impact energy, this ripple effect of energy. So when you own your truth and step into that, you are now rippling that energy out into the world to be able to not allow, but for other people to see that it's okay for them to do that too. And not that they have to see you do that. Like, that is kind of one of the oxymorons of like owning our truth, really. But sometimes some of us need a little bit of a push, right? We need a little bit of a like, oh, that person did it, I can too, And in the purity of all of that, our job in this life is to purely step into who we are, is to own it in our business, in life, how we show up in our relationships, how we show up for ourselves. And a lot of us are scared of this. So the first thing I want to talk to is really understanding who you are. So I think it's time for us to really remove the veil that we've been looking through. So the conditioning we've been taught, the belief systems that have been embedded in us, what our 5th grade teacher told us back in the day, and really look at, who are you? Now, how you can do this and how you can start to really work within this is actually taking some stillness time to ask yourself the question, what do you know? Now, I've done this exercise numerous times over the years, like numerous times over the years. And in this space of time, there were times in my life where I would say to you, I had no fucking idea who I was. And by the way, owning my truth, I swear. And if you don't like that, I'm going to say sorry, but not sorry. That's part of who I am. I swear a lot. I swear in my branding. I swear in programs. I swear in social media. So I am fully embodied in my truth. That is something that resonates in me, that moves through me. So that is part of my truth. But for a long time, when I did this exercise, I had no idea who I was. So then I started looking at, well, what do I know for sure that I'm not? And that allowed me to start to see things differently, because sometimes we don't know. Like, you may be at this pivotal part of your life right now in this transition that you don't know. You don't know. You've just come out of a relationship. You're just awakening spiritually. You just started your business, or you're really questioning who you are in life, which a lot of people have went through over the last 5 years. And a lot of us are seeing who we used to be or what we used to enjoy no longer serving our heart. We're no longer tied to it. We're no longer moving through it. We're no longer connected in that aspect of life any longer, because of the fact that we're actually starting to awaken into our purity of light and who we really are as humans in this experience. And it's not just about the money any longer, or not just about the things any longer, or not just about whatever it is in your life that you used to chase all the time. It's a deeper rooted connection, right? It's a deeper expansion. It's a deeper level of peace and joy and love in your life that you are desiring to move through. So when we work within this to really understand ourselves, a couple things starts to happen. We start to get this whisper showing up in our life, this whisper, and it's small and it's like quiet sometimes. It's like, hey, have you ever thought of, or you start to, like, for me, I would keep getting these visions, right? So I'm very visual and I would see things in my mind. That's actually how I channel. It gets dropped in visualization. So I'm not surprised for me that it showed up that way, because it was like, here's a vision of you running down the street. Here's a vision of this. Here's a vision of that. And I started paying attention. So how we discover more parts of ourselves is a couple of things. A, we start being present in our life. What makes us feel good in our lives? And when you're present in your life, you can actually feel that connection. You can feel that movement inside of you. You can feel that in transition in your world. So the first thing would be to get quiet and to start to pay attention and get present in your life. Where are you hearing this? Where are you seeing it? And when we are out of alignment within our pure path and purpose, or who we are as people, things start to show up in ways that do not feel good. Irritation, frustration, lack of motivation. All those are keys. Anytime you are not feeling empowered, good, aligned, in a positive state, and you are doing actions at that time that are taking you out of that energy, I would be looking at that with a fine tooth comb. Why does this not feel aligned? What is it that's showing up? Am I really this person still? Some of you have been doing jobs for 20 years and you are no longer aligned in that job. And maybe 20 years ago, you took it on because your mom said that you should and you wanted to appease your mom. And then you sacrificed yourself and dropped in and was like, it's for the good of the people. And now you're at a point where you're like, fuck it. I cannot handle this any longer. It's the perfect space to be in. Now, sometimes it's hard for us to move through this. It's challenging. It blows our mind. We step into the space. We don't know how to move this through. Everything we knew as truth before this moment of time crumbled in our life. And we are now here at this blank landscape looking around going, I don't have any idea how to do this. But the whisper kept coming in. The intuitive hit, I call it, kept coming in. You kept feeling this. You are feeling things consistently all the time in your world, but your mind is diminishing them. But your heart is crying out for you to move through this, for you to embody it, for you to take it in. So last year, I've been going through a pretty intense process over the last 3 years. I've been doing my own spiritual journey for the last 14. So at the time that I picked up my first spiritual mentor, when I was working one-to-one with her, I also opened up my entrepreneurship business at the same time. Literally, they were parallel. I was a very pragmatic business coach, worked in growth strategies, process development, culture management. I did a lot of franchising work, and I understood the root of business, how to keep clients, how to find clients, how to get teams in alignment, how to keep the amazing teams that we do. And I still do a little bit of this work with some clients that have been in my world for a long time. But it's not something that I actively promote at all anymore. I don't step into the business space unless we're in one-to-one containers together and moving it through. But I had a very pragmatic edge to the work I did, all the while running alongside this spiritual work. In 2020, I was called to literally merge the businesses together to help people really align in their businesses at a soul mission level. And then it was 2022 where the beginning of the year, I was like, I'm going to be all in this spiritual thing and just see where it goes, right? I was being called to do it. Everything I do is an intuition now. I follow that lead. I expand into it. And it was the early part of the year where I was directed and told that I needed to own all the parts of me. And I was like, what does this mean? And I know the parts of me. I have a very sexual edge. I have a rebellion energy. I have a boldness, like the swearing that I said to you guys, there's a bold energy in there. But the rebellion and the bold energy serve me and my brand with clients because I'm able to dismantle the infrastructures holding them back really fast and quickly, burn them up, light them on fire, get them out of their fields, and get them moving through stuff really fast, right? So all of that serves the work that I do. Now, you may be like the sexual energy. I'm like, it's part of a sexual expression, it's part of a self expression and part of who I am. It's not like I'm walking around in underwear on all of my posts. That's not what it is. But there's an edge that I bring into play about possibilities, about desires, about being able to step into pleasure in all ways of your life, to own it. That you can actually have exactly the life you desire if you step into this space and believe and then embody the action to move it forward. So it all plays a role. But at the beginning of the year, I was told I needed to embrace this. And I sat with it for a few minutes, and everything I've been doing for the last 3 years, from there has been trusting the universal flow and surrendering into that trust. And I was like, shit, okay, I'm going to do this. I'm going to do this. I'm going to do this. I went to Winnipeg in May to visit my family. That's where I'm from. And I sat my mom down and I was like, look, mom, I need you to really understand I'm about to own my sexual edge in my branding online. And just in case you get flack from my aunties who follow me on Facebook or whatever, I just wanted to give you a heads up so you knew what I was doing in advance. And she's like, yo, boo, you do you. And my mom has never been that way. But over the years, like I'm 42 years old, just letting you know, I was a rebellion growing up as a teen. I always pushed the boundaries of life. If someone says you couldn't do it, but it made sense to do it, I was doing it. That's who I was, an MO. So imagine being my mom. So she resisted this in me for a long time. Now she's learned after 42 years or 41 years or 40 years or whatever it was at the time, that this is me. And if she pushes up against me, it's not going to matter. Like, even I was on a phone call with her the other day about some action that I'd taken, and she's like, I'm praying for you. You are. And I'm like, mom, I wouldn't have taken this action if I didn't know it was coming in the purity of truth and it could help me move through something. And she was like, just because we don't believe in the same things doesn't mean that I'm going to let my mother dictate how I live my life. But a lot of owning our truth, a lot of you are going to have to get over that. Your husband might think this. Your grandmother might think this. What will your past clients think about you doing that? What will your current clients think about you doing that? I interviewed a guy on my podcast quite a while ago, and he messaged me the other day saying to me, I've been really desiring to put out this erotic hypnotherapy, like hypnotics track. He's a hypnotherapist. And I go, why haven't you done it? And he goes, well, I'm just really scared about what my clients are going to think. And I was like, why? You need to fucking own all the dimensions to who you are. Own all of it. And if they leave you because of this erotic hypno track, then they're not your ideal clients anyways. And you are just dragging them along, and they should be with another hypnotherapist. Because if you are hiding parts of yourself because you don't think other people can handle it, or you don't think this, when it's part of you, part of your brand, part of the way you show up in the world, part of a mechanism, then it's time to step into this truth. Now, granted, some of the stuff that you've been through may not be publicized all over the world, and you don't need it to be. But a lot of us are diminishing our light, staying in this box. A few years ago, maybe it was probably even like 8 years ago, I had a girlfriend say to me once, you can't go into that corporate meeting in ripped jeans. And I go, why the fuck not? She's like, you got to be in a suit and you got to dress professionally. And I was like, if they can't handle me showing up in ripped jeans and owning who I really am, they're not my ideal clients anyways. I don't want to work for them. This isn't about the money. This is about the impact that I can make in their business. And the second they hear me speak, I will dismantle all that infrastructure. Like, guys, I am the girl that walks in and, like, I don't walk in high heels any longer. I live in Costa Rica, totally different vibe. And that's why, like, sometimes I'm in tank tops teaching programs because it's hot here. And it's like the air will be off sometimes to do stuff. And it's like, I'm not sacrificing that any longer. I would have never taught in a tank top back 2 years ago, ever. But now I'm embracing who I really am and the purity of who I am. And if someone judges me because I'm wearing a tank top in a training, then that's their deal to work through. If I am in the purity of my light, I need to step into that space. And some of you may be like, yeah, but some people expect. I go, yeah, that's a fucking expectation. You expect me to conform to your standards. when your standards do not mesh with who I am. And therefore, I'll go find a collective of people, a summit to be at, a spot to be speaking on a stage that I can step into embodied fully in who I am. And I guarantee you I'll make way more impact in that room than I will conforming in your box. And that's the thing I really want you to feel and desire in your life, is that most of us have been taught to stay in our boxes, to listen to those people, to conform. They say you need to do this. And I'm like, I had a girl that I was doing an interview with to be able to speak to a collective of over 100,000 people that are all in the spiritual world. Guys, these are my ideal clients. And in the messages back and forth, she's like, you need to be in a quiet spot. You need to be this. I said, look, I live in Costa Rica. These are single pane windows. When it's raining, like it is right now, when the geckos are out, when the monkeys are chirping and the birds are out, I can't control this, nor will I literally put myself in a closet just to do this interview. I'm sorry, that's not my jam. So if you are not willing to compromise with me on this, I'm not your people. And she's like, no. I lived in Costa Rica. I know the vibe there. That's amazing. I want you. And I was like, okay. But I held my truth. Where some of you guys that are feeling this, or some of you can see aspects of your world, and maybe some of you are owning this and you're all in and you're like, yeah, this is juicy. But some of you are literally conforming all the time. What do you need from me? What do you need from me? What do you need me to be? What mask can I wear for you today? Oh, yeah. I can do that kind of work. Yeah, I can do that kind of work. Guys, I can do a lot of work. And it comes at me often. Colleen, can you create this manual for us? I used to create manuals. I used to create health and safety protocols. I used to create employee things. I used to create all this. Yeah, I can. I can do that work, but I choose not to do it any longer. I am in my lane tight here. So I say to them, unfortunately, I don't do that work any longer, but I have someone else. And some of you are like, oh my God, but the money, especially if money's tight and the budget is tight. Here's what I've learned. When the budget is tight, a lot of the times you're chasing in scarcity. Therefore, you're taking on jobs that are not aligned. Therefore, the energy you're leading in the world isn't aligned. And therefore, you cannot actually even create wealth or abundance in the energy that you're playing in. If you release that money thing and you dive in to this truth in you, and you start creating programs and offers in that truth, and you start leading in that, and you start having conversations in that, and you start posting content and marketing in that, you will attract the people that desire that. And they will come in tenfold, and they will pay you 5 figures, and they will write the checks, and they will sign up intuitively because of that. But you are so scared sitting over there now thinking about the money, or losing that $1,000 client, or losing this job, that you are fucking off path. And everything you do now is in compromise. Are you compromising your values? Are you compromising your boundaries? I bet you are. Because you are compromising your energy right now and your intuitive flow and who you really are. I know that was really powerful. My body's in goosebumps. So once we learn to live in this, and once we learn to embody this, and once we learn to speak it, and it's going to take courage, guys, and grit, and you're going to have to keep doing it over and over and over again. I literally had a client yesterday I was on a one-to-one call with, who is a medium. And if you guys don't know anything about the spiritual world, she talks to spirits and she sees them and everything. She's been doing it her whole life. And she's rebelled against being a medium. She pretends like she's not. She's like, I'm not a medium. And then yesterday she got it backhanded to her from the universe, from me as her coach. And I was like, you need to start owning this. You are never going to step into the wealth that is in you without it, because you're being blocked. And she was like, fuck. So today she actually made a post talking about a mediumship. And then she messaged me back, I just need a few weeks to work within this. And I go, you're floating in an old pattern, a pattern that you think you need to know more, or all this stuff. This is you. You do this every day. I get voice notes from you all the time. Oh my God, this spirit was in my house and we were talking and they gave me this info. Every day you do it. What are you scared of? What people are going to think? Are you actually scared of your own power? And actually, are you actually scared of getting everything that you desire in life? That was a big one for me. I was scared of the success. What if it worked? That was what was playing out in my mind. What if it worked? Not what if it didn't work? What if it actually worked? Crazy, right? But I knew inside of me that it would. So there was a part of me that was like, I don't know. Now I'm all in. And guys, my life is magical, literally is magical. Today I sat with the universe and talking to the universe. This is what I do, right? The spiritual side. And I was like, you guys are good. Every time I step in, they serve it back to me on a platter. I live in Costa Rica now because of it. I have this beautiful life here because of it. And I'm expanding my life and I'm expanding my reach. I'm expanding my impact and my light in the world. And people are getting impacted because I lead in truth. And you cannot make the impact in the world that you desire to make, that's on your heart, that you really want to serve in, without doing that. So, number two, once you know that and once you step into that, you need to take action in that. Take action in the alignment. So once you start owning this, things are going to start to drop in. Maybe you should create this program. Maybe you should make this post. Maybe you should lead in this. Maybe you should leave that relationship. Maybe you should get a massage today. Maybe. Okay. And they don't usually show up as maybe. It shows up as usually like a ping, light bulb turns on, and you're like, oh, that would be kind of cool. Or I can't teach that program. That happened to me a lot. I was like, what do you mean I need to teach this activate program of activating spiritual gifts? Since when? You're an activator. This is what you do. But how am I? It's not about the how, guys. It's about trusting that your truth moving through you is in alignment. Because once you own your truth, all of a sudden, this magical energy of creativity, of connection, of like joy drops into you, and you start to get these ideas. Maybe I should go to that event. Maybe I should joint venture with that person. Maybe I should do this. Maybe I should call that person or send out that email or whatever it is that's pinging in your field. But once you start owning your truth, you're going to start to see that things that no longer align in your truth are going to collapse, meaning no one will sign up for that offer if it's no longer aligned in your truth. People will fall off the grid in your life if they are no longer aligned in your truth. You won't be able to tolerate some things. Okay. Meaning the fact that that guy you used to hang out with for like a few years who used to do this, and that's no longer your truth. You can put him in a box for a while, but eventually you're just going to maybe part ways in some way, shape, or form. And I'm not saying you have to release all these people from your life. And I'm not saying you have to do anything. But you're going to watch when you start to step in, you're going to start to find people that radiate in your truth, that get you, that want to be in your world, that want to talk about crazy things like dragons and channeling Merlin and working in alchemy and transitioning sacred geometry. Like, this is what I do. And I find people that I can talk to about this, and other people, and more people, and more people, and more people are coming into my world. So, like, yeah, I still have some relationships that are maybe not aligned there, but they are few and far between, and they don't get all my time, and I don't let them suck me dry any longer. And not that they meant to in the first place, but when we are not in our truth and that is disconnected for us, and we're playing in a field and pretending to be something that we're not, you can't handle the energy. You can't. You're done. You're drained. You're tired. You're like, fuck this. That's how it works. So when you align in this truth and you start to vibrate in this truth and you start to really own it, all of you, you know, your edge, the things you really want to say, like most of us have like kept our lips shut throughout the last few years, especially because we didn't want to hurt people's feelings. What the fuck is your truth? You're not doing anyone a service at all by keeping your mouth quiet. Now, I'm not saying you need to be the trailblazer up on the hill with the fucking flag going, you guys suck, and that's not what I'm saying. But you have a truth inside of you that you haven't been speaking to. And maybe it's speaking up your voice in your relationship, or maybe it's actually parenting your kids differently now than what your mom taught you, and feeling like it's okay. And it is okay. Because if your truth is different than your mom's truth, and she grew up differently than you grew up, or that you see in the value system now and the way that you've awakened in your life to whatever you're moving through at this moment of time, it changes you. But most of us conform and we don't move with the change, right? I'm sure you're feeling this. So the actions will pop in, the actions will move through you, the actions will show up in your space to be able to move into this. But you've got to say yes and move forward. And you've got to have courage and then move forward. And you've got to have more courage and then move forward. And keep moving the ball. Because when you move the ball moves. I know, it's so fun, right? So fun. Okay, the last point, which fits into all of this, and I've already laid it out, is trusting, surrendering, and courage. When we lead in our truth and we start to take action in it, we need to have a level of trust that you can make and sustain the money that you did in your business doing this new business, a level of trust that people will come into the space when you start owning your truth. I watched my business transform when I started listening to this and started leaning into this and started moving through this. I made the same amount of money that I did in my business where I used to work 6 to 7 days a week, 10 to 14-hour days, pushing, the energy was pushing. And when I started my spiritual journey and leaning into that, I started collapsing time. Now I work maybe 4 hours a day, like actually work 4 hours a day. Sometimes I'm in and out, like podcast interviews, I don't see that as work. But maybe 4 hours a day, 4 days a week. And I make more money today than I ever did in that business. And it shocks a lot of people's minds because we've been programmed to think we need to work hard and keep working hard and put in the hours and work hard when it's not true. When you fully own your truth and then you take action in that truth and you create programs and offers and you live in a career that's juicy for you and you sit in this energy and you know your worth and you know your boundaries and you hold those boundaries in your life, everything changes. But you've got to trust that that can happen for you. And you've got to step in with courage and speak it and move it through. Like today, I literally did a post on my social media feed that says, fuck normal. And it was something like, fuck normal, I want magic, or something like that. Right. And that's a bold post. I've got so much engagement on it though, on my Facebook page. Like it is like people are like, yes, this isn't what, yes. And I owned that energy. A year ago, maybe, I knew something had shifted and changed in my brand when I surrendered into that message about owning all the parts of me. I talked to my mom, and then I launched a masterclass called Unleashed. And this masterclass had, the branding was me, the backside of me, only wearing a thong underwear, so completely naked on the back, everything. You saw my butt cheeks, all of it. And my arm was up and it just said Unleashed, the masterclass. That masterclass still to this day had the most registrations out of any masterclass I ever taught. And it was all about owning your own power. And I was like, wow. When I stepped in, that's why I said the sexual edge, but it actually made so much sense in the branding. I'm unleashing, right? I'm taking off all of the layers of me and I'm showing you who could I have not worn underwear? Yeah. But it actually looked really good in the branding because they were like bright orange and they were lace and they all like, it just, all of it worked. And I have a tan, like normally, like right now I have to go back in the sun in the next couple of days because I'm losing it, even though it's been like not that long, but it fades really quick. But stepping into that space, I trusted. And then the universe was like, look, you're owning your truth, you're owning your pathway, you're stepping into the alignment that you have called forward as a soul in this earth. Each one of us has a purpose. And we sometimes forget that because we take over the business from someone. We were taught by our business coach that we could only do business this way. There's so many things in your vibration that have been calling you out to collapse in a narrative, collapse in an infrastructure. So I want to say to you today, where in your life do you need to start owning your truth? You know it. I guarantee you know it because you were drawn to this for a reason. And I'm calling you out right now because of the fact that A, I can, B, I embody this and live this every single day of my life. And C, I know what happens when we do this and get to the other side. So where in your life right now, what's dropping into you? Where in your life do you need to own your truth? Where in your life right now are you being called forward to step in a different way, to own it in a different way, to speak it in a different way? And I'm going to encourage you to do that. It's like, it's kind of like the cheesy thing where it's like, we only have one life. We do only have one life. And we were meant to do something in this life here. We aren't just on this earth experience hanging out. Oh, it would be nice if I one day could. That's not what this is about. We are all igniting right now in this purposeful passion, moving through our heart into the collective. That's what it is. And your impact is needed. Your impact right now is needed on the earth, right now in this moment of time. So what are you going to do about it? How are you going to move this through? When are you going to get, like my mom used to say, shit or get off the pot? When are you going to move into the life that you actually desire and really live it and be in it and be all into it? When? It's time to get moving. Right? Just take a breath in right now. Feel that. So I'm going to say to you, closing off this conversation we've been having, or I've been having into the ethers for you, drop into this. Don't delay. Don't waste time. Don't step in. Don't question. Start to drop into this and see where it's leading you. And if something transitions for you, if you feel this, if you're like all juicy about it, share this out, tag someone, tag me, tell me about it, share it out with a friend if you feel called, and just trust. This journey is a beautiful expansion of energy. We get to meet cool people, we get to do cool things, we get to step into the space, we get to explore, adventure, experience. But when you are not living in your truth, it's all diluted. Step in, my friend. I believe in you. You can do this. You got this. And I'll see you around somewhere. Have a great day.